Tal Oren, welcome to Jerusalem Dateline.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you are a content creator, and you have been doing some pretty interesting videos about the Middle East. So what is it that what message are you trying to convey to people about the Middle East?
So I went from a decade-long career of traveling around the world on YouTube as a blogger, and right around the time of the war, I began doing advocacy for the State of Israel, and particularly with a massive focus on Mizrahi Jews and the diaspora of Afro-Jews from Africa. And the big push that I'm trying to do is normalize or push against this narrative of white colonizers and a foreign group of people that are invaded this land and somehow took the land of other people. And really pushing a message of, there's a lot of Jews who look like me, and putting us out in the forefront so people understand that there is no genocide or apartheid or white colonizer narrative that can exist in this land.
Mm-hmm. And now, Mizrahi Jews are those that came from Arab lands, forced out of Arab lands, right?
So Arab lands is actually a misnomer. What I try to push is Arabized lands. For example, my family, half of my family comes from Baghdad, Iraq. Baghdad, Iraq was an ancient part of Mesopotamia, Babylon. In the Bible, in the destruction of the first temple, the Jews were casted out to Babylon. This predates Islam, it predates Arabs as a group of people, and it predates Arabism as a pan-Arabist movement in the Middle East. So I always try to correct the narrative and say, we're not Arab Jews, but we're Jews from the Middle East that Arabs Arabized and took our culture, took our languages away, took for some people, religions away as well.
So what do you think changed in Israel after October 7th?
I think a lot of things changed. I think there's a heightened sense of awareness of unity now. While we don't always represent it in the best way, I think a lot of people are more united. But I think that maybe a lot of people are waking up to the fact that we need to be a little bit more aggressive in the media. We need to be a little bit more aggressive in the content war and pushing our agendas of the truth of what actually exists here on the ground, the coexistence, the different ethnicities, the diversity, to the forefront of what's actually going on here.
And what is it? How do you want people to view the Middle East? What do you want them to know about the Middle East that people kind of in the West space out about?
A really good question. I want people to understand that the Middle East has never existed in peace, ever. There has never been peace in this region. We've always been warring one with another. Now, the difference is there's been colonial empires that have come in here and have destroyed civilizations. People who are suffering right now in the Middle East, like Copts, Kurds, Assyrians, there's a long list, Mandeans in Iraq, and of course Jews, who have been ethnically cleansed from their lands. I want people to understand that just because in the West we've been taught that the narrative is that all the brown people who live in the Middle East are somehow Arab is not necessarily the truth. There is a massive, diverse coalition of nations and peoples who have existed here for millennia, and we need to start honoring their presence and helping people understand where they actually come from.
Be a little more specific. Tell me a little bit more what you're talking about, all these different peoples.
So I want people to understand that when they call Arabs of Egypt Arabs, they're actually talking about a group of people that the Arabs colonized, who were the ancient Egyptians who turned into the Coptic group of people. Or for example, when they're talking about the Arabs of Iraq, they're actually talking about a group of Mandeans, which are the native fishing people, where the kafia, the Palestinian kafia actually comes from. Mm-hmm. It was appropriated from the Iraqi people who lived there, and Jews who existed there for a long time. I want people to understand that when they talk about Morocco as an Arab country or a Muslim country, they're actually talking about a country that was dominated by Amazigh people and Jews way before Islam or Arabs.
It's very interesting, very interesting. So what do you think that people miss about Israel?
I think people don't see the full picture because they can't come here. They don't have access to this place. I think that Western news and Western media a lot of times pushes the wrong narrative about our country. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing I always recommend is people need to come and visit this land. See this place with their own eyes and understand the stories. I always have a saying, if somebody tells you that they think they understand Israel or they have the full picture, they're already wrong. Because I've traveled this land up and down, I've met with almost every ethnic group, and I still don't have 100% the full picture. So you can't off of just some article on the news.
Yeah, anything else you would like to share with us?
Just pray for Israel, for the people who are watching, to pray for Israel, for the security of our nation, and for the continuation of Jewish people and their sovereignty in this land, and hopefully bringing more light to all these different people around the Middle East to make a better, more peaceful Middle East.